chair for this session, a towering figure in Indian defense, Air Marshal I P Vipin, brings over 4 decades of service to the nation. From shaping aviators as a flying instructor to leading strategic operations across the Indian Air Force, his career reflects excellence and integrity. As Commandant of NDA and Air Force Academy, he mentored generations of leaders. And now serving as advisor to UPSC, his commitment to national development continues. The stage is yours, sir.
Thank you really very much for those kind words, Sanupama. You know, the other day I was reading the newspaper when a call came from TMA, and they requested me to chair this session on the Agile leader. Guess what I was reading? I was reading President Trump's wish list. You know, I'm sure all of you are familiar with that acquisition of Greenland, annexation of Canada, and wall across Mexican border, transfers, and putting his nose practically into all the conflicts in the world, mass deportation, and I'm sure you have a much longer list than the few that I've mentioned. For a moment, I got a little carried away then, and I was wondering, does he qualify for the Agile leader? He is all over, doing practically everything. I recovered and I realized eminently not. In fact, far from it. So then, what's the Agile leader? By the way, anyone from the audience who would not want to be a leader ever and be only a follower, can I have a hand show? Practically none. So all of you want to be leaders. So then this session is for you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to each one of you to the second session of TRIMA. I'm privileged to chair the session, and the topic is Agile Leader, and the next part, Embracing Change and Innovation. Before we go deeper into the topic, let me just bring you up to speed on the context in which we are today. It's a world of immense geopolitical uncertainties and their undesirable consequences, especially those business houses that have got global footprints would appreciate how difficult it is to survive in such uncertainties, which are geopolitical, climatological, and much more. Then there is this continual disruption of many aspects, presenting a faster rate of obsolescence of technology. The techniques, technology, procedures, and so on. Then there is intense global competition. Every house that is worth its meat is jostling for space. How do you survive? And to complicate matters further, there are a multitude of choices for the consumers, facilitated by information overload, accessibility, availability, and affordability. So today's leadership, irrespective of their style, has to be cognizant of these realities while crafting their strategies to stay relevant. To get deeper into the subject, we have 3 eminent personalities, accomplished leaders in their own spheres. Let me welcome Mr. Sashikumar Sreedharan, Mr. Aju Jacob, and Mr. Arjun Mahadevan. They would enlighten us and take us through the nuts and bolts of Agile leadership. But before we get into that, let me tell you something more about them. Arjun Mahadevan is the CEO and Director of Travancore Cocotuft Pvt Ltd, one of India's leading manufacturers and exporters of coir-based floor coverings. While he is following the legacy of the 108-year-old Travancore Mat and Mattings company, he has carved out a niche for himself. A fifth-generation entrepreneur, he has played a pivotal role in modernizing the company's operations and expanding its global presence. They are the first vendors of IKEA and many multinational companies, including Boeing. They now supply to over 85 countries. Arjun is a mechanical engineer from VIT and holds an MBA from Melbourne. He is also qualified in executive education from IIM Ahmedabad. He holds additional responsibilities as President Jute Shippers Council and Chairman of Alapi Roundtable and President of Coir Shippers Council as well. He is focused on sustainability, innovation, and quality as drivers of the company's growth while honoring the legacy of over a century of coir manufacturing. He brings a global outlook to a traditional industry of Kerala. I come to Aju Jacob, who is the Managing Director of Synthite Industries Ltd, world's largest producer of value-added spices and oleoresins. He took the reins of the company from his father, late C.V. Jacob, who founded it in 1972. Aju joined Synthite Industries in 1987 and has since worked his way up to the position of MD, which he holds from 2024. Under his able leadership, the company grew from a 6 crore annual turnover to nearly 300 crore. Wow, remarkable. The company expanded, obviously, from Kerala to have global footprints: China, USA, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, to name a few. They have also expanded into food, wellness, and lifestyle segments. Aju is a graduate in chemical engineering from Bangalore University and has MBA from ISB Hyderabad. He is in the board of directors of many companies: Intego Brand, Algavista, Green Tech, P Foods, Gunam Beauty, Syntec Holdings, to name a few. He has held positions of Director KSIDC Limited. He has been the Chairman of CI of Kerala Chapter, Treasurer of MOSC Super Speciality Hospital, and till now he is Head of Management of St. Peter's Senior Secondary School at Kadiyapuruppu. And let me now turn to Shri Sashikumar Sreedharan is the Managing Director of Google Cloud India, the position that he took up last month on promotion. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate him and wish him greater success and laurels in all his pursuits ahead on behalf of all of you. God be with you. Shashi brings to the table over 3 decades of experience in the tech industry and global technology sector. In fact, he is on a leadership segment here. He is an AI expert who would have easily fitted into yesterday's discussion. Prior to his current position, he served as the Chief Operation Officer of Google Cloud Asia Pacific, where he played a key role during the regional strategy and business growth. He is a graduate in Applied Electronics and Instrumentation from our very own College of Engineering, Trivandrum. He is known for his deep understanding of enterprise technology and digital transformation. He started his career with Wipro and then to IBM and then to Microsoft India, where he was Director Sales. He was Executive Vice President, Sutherland Global Service, Vice President and Managing Director at SAP CSC, and then he guided Happiest Minds Technology as its CEO and MD. Now, under his leadership, Google Cloud India is focused on advancing AI-first solutions and expanding its presence across all sectors in India. He strongly believes in Google Cloud's winning strategy, and he is recognized for his strategic vision and commitment to innovation-driven growth. So you would agree with me that we have very eminent panelists, and may I now request Shashi to make a brief opening remark.
And I thought this morning, when I was coming in from Bangalore, I thought that I should set the cat amongst the pigeons, right? But it's a cat amongst the tigers, let's put it that way. The way a CEO like me, and I might call myself, and there's a reason for this, I call myself a payslip CEO. Hold your thoughts, okay? And they're all promoter CEOs. They build their companies. I got hired in to become a CEO. It's a very different construct. The reason why I talk about it is the way we think very differently when it comes to the same challenges of digital and AI and transformation. So I'm looking forward to how both Aju and Arjun are going to talk about it, because their perspective will be completely different from, or the list would be the same, but the approach is likely to be quite different because they run their own companies, and that's a very, very key difference that I want to call out. Now, having said that, and we'll keep it aside, moving forward, the laws of physics is very real when it comes to dealing with change and innovation, transformation and innovation. So that needs to be considered as my submission. Small companies, very successful, super agile. Large companies, successful in their own rights, but on a very large base, the momentum is much higher. The CEOs do different things to change direction, to bring things, adopt new things in terms of innovation. The challenges are very different. It's also, are you serving one type of customer or multiple types of customers? It makes the transformation and innovation space way more complex. It's also about, are you serving one geography or the global geographies? That's a completely different angle to transformation and innovation, you know, and also the people who are part of your team globally. So when we talk challenges, embracing change, challenges of embracing change and innovation, it's not like a silver bullet solution that can be put in out there. You need to really think through the fabric of the company. What are they going through? What are the realities underneath in a very, very big way? The second topic that I want to bring to you, as still in the landscape, we are not getting into the CEO world yet, is what tech shifts have done to all of us in our businesses. The technology shifts, the technology disruptors. I am talking about, originally it was the internet, then it became AI, the classical AI. Then somewhere in between that continued, but as technology, hardware technology developed faster and faster, you could run more and more iterations of the problem in quicker order. It became a data play, data as the new currency. And then it moved to generative AI, which you all hear about today as Gen AI, as a big disruptor. Now, what it has done to our businesses, I will put it in one simple sentence. Tradition, legacy, and tenure are no longer respected. Tradition, legacy, and tenure. Now, superimpose that statement with Generation Z that is coming in right now. And they're the folks who are living this era. Then you can go back and look at your kids and your grandkids and kind of reflect on this statement on how they behave, right? They're so fast on the phones. They're already probably using Gemini or ChatGPT or Llama, the Gen AI models that are out there. It has disrupted businesses completely, and what you are seeing as disruption is probably not even the tip of the iceberg at this point in time. So a CEO leading a company through changes need to understand these two big elements that are out there. And having said that, I will go into the 6 C's that I'll take probably half a minute each to take you through the 6 C's. The first one that I think is a challenger mindset, also called a growth mindset. Essentially, in Google, we call it 10x thinking. How do you create a vision for a company that has literally no connection to the run rate of the business that you are in right now? That's the challenger mindset. The second piece of this is to create a narrative which creates unprecedented energy in the company. It's really the CEO going out there and championing this, saying this is the path to take. So that's still on how the challenger tries to challenge incumbencies of existing players. Now go back to all the successful internet names that you know, who challenged incumbencies: electric car manufacturers, e-commerce players, health tech players, all of them that are out there. People who use internet to build products, to design products, to manufacture and source the right manufacturers, keep customers, acquire customers, all of them using tech. None of them have plans to be, sorry for calling out the brands here, none of them have plans to be a classical company manufacturing cars, or a classical company manufacturing pharma or drugs, classical companies that are into FMCG. They want to be 100 times bigger. That's the challenger mindset. The second piece of the C is courage. Courage to really take this message out, to really go out and tell the world that this is the path that I am taking. It's a very tough thing to do, because your business will be in great shape today. It will be cash positive, making billions of dollars or millions of dollars in very positive, very, very high percentage profitability. You're going to go and tell the world that, hey, I'm going to go do this now. And the world will look at you and say, what the heck is wrong with you? Did I put my money into the wrong company? So that's the courage that the CEO requires. And we can talk about greater detail here. The third element here is around competence. Competence to understand your space, understand the markets, to look at the trends, to analyze trends. Now, those are all in-business competencies. So if I ask a person like Aju or Arjun, and I'm using Arjun because he's far more of a younger generation CEO here, and ask him about the Cocotuft business, I'm pretty sure he will know that to the last grain, right? Now, in his case, it is going to be very different, but the CEOs of today, and I'm sure you have that in tons, because we spoke in the ante room, needs what is called digital fluency. Using digital to run the businesses at deep scale. Now, why is it important? It's important because all the opportunities in the new world are around digital. Your costs when you are doing it digitally for a much larger throughput is going to be much more lower than the physical models or the phygital models that you have today. So competence is of phenomenal importance. And when I say competence, it's not business competence, it's digital fluency and tech intensity. Now, I rate this kind of a number 3C because there are very smart CEOs who are not necessarily digitally fluent, but knows what exact digital fluency is and what is the talent needed in the company to make it happen. So they are a very minor set of exceptions that at least I have run into, but there are people who are necessarily not always on a computer screen or always on a cell phone, but have the right talent in the company to make that happen. Aju was mentioning that you probably use AI and phones, but I still need to write on a piece of paper my topics. That's also because that's the only way I remember things, and I'm very, very kinesthetic. That's the reason. I'm going back to my notes here. Okay. Now the two more topics, two more C's, and I will fly through this. We can take it up in questions or subtopics later, which is commitment to execute. It's very easy to stand up and say things. But how do you get ready to execute? And there is no day after tomorrow for execution. Transformation starts today. So how do you find the resources? How committed are you to execute? How can you take the stress of transformation, of running a live business which is so successful, and tell the world that I'm going to transform and make it 10x, and deal with that in parallel? What's your commitment to execute, right? But finally, the trick is in the doing. So the commitment to execute is a very big thing. Communication. And we spoke about this, the many forums that have spoken about communication. Deep empathy, connection, simplifying things. Jargon will not work with the people in your company. You got to simplify it to a level where every person in the company knows what is their role and what is their impact and their contribution to the new 10x thinking, right? So communication is super, super, super vital. And I'll break it down because this is important. It's about the what, the why now, and how, right? You need to really simplify the steps as a CEO to your teams. Otherwise, people would say, I think he's smoking something, right? And then the final C that I want to mention here is continuous learning. All the technology interventions that I spoke to you, and I choose my English carefully, morphs talent. To be a little bit more critical, the word I would use is, with no disrespect to anything or anybody, degrades talent. Because the business frame moves away from the talent that you have in your company. So the degrade is not because they are bad people or anything. The business frame has shifted, and you need a new level of thinking, a new level of capability and capacity to execute on the new plan, on the new vision, the new 10x thinking. So this cannot be done to what is called episodical training, which is, I'll train for communication, I'll train for business acumen, I'll train for situational leadership, I'll train for negotiation. It will not work because that frame is very dynamic. So you as a CEO need to think about continuous learning and training and refreshing cycles. It's a very new way of learning things. If you actually, it is continuous learning. It is not separated into phases. So we call it 70-20-10. This phrase you will hear in many places. 70-20-10 learning. 70% on the evolving job. 20% yourself with your peers and cohorts. 10%, which is a subject matter expert teaching you something. Right? The continuous learning thing. So let's go to this. As a managing director of Google in India, I need to certify myself every year on a set of topics, which takes about 96 hours of training for me. Right? You can do the math. And as CEOs in the audience here, leaders in the audience, try getting 96 hours from your daily schedules in a year and try and go learn, right? It's an important fraction. So the point I'm trying to tell you is continuous learning will become a cultural aspect of the company. It is not just the CEO thing. CEO is the person who initiates role models, put the systems and processes in place, encourages people to do that, but also becomes part of the cultural fabric of the company, right? So that's what I wanted to share today. We'll wait for the rest of the conversations and look forward to interacting with all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And that was a whole deal of passion and how involved he was, and he could recreate the whole aspect of modern technology, disruptions and things like that without going into, technicalities of AI and stuff like that. Now, without wasting time, let me quickly turn over to Aju. Yeah, go ahead, please.
I need to hold on to something, so I think I better stand and speak. Thank you, TMA, for giving me this opportunity. It is great to be here. There are a lot of familiar faces, which makes me comfortable. What really was good this morning when I met Shashi was that he was telling me that a couple of years back, they used Synthite as a case study to how deep we get into a particular subject. So that was a heartening news for me. It was very, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. And also a little bit about Synthite. We are a value-added spice company, which was founded by my father in 1972. We are a 4,000 crores plus company today. I think when I was introduced, we mentioned a much lower figure, but we are about 4,000 plus crores into various aspects of food ingredients. That's a core business that Synthite is in today. And I always think, whenever I talk to people, I always say that Synthite grew more by accident than design. I mean, again, I think it's another version of being agile in the sense that of course, we had a core initiative in spice and spice extraction, but then as we transformed the business, as we saw the opportunities, we were very nimble-footed in terms of the opportunities that came to us and made sure that every such opportunity came by. It's not by a lot of design. I always also think that a lot of the opportunities came because of what the market presented to us. Some of the opportunities came through our customers, where the fact that we were able to react to those opportunities pretty fast. So I thought I'll share one or two of those experiences again to see how fluid we were in terms of taking decisions and making sure that we move forward and how that has stayed, become roaring successes for Synthite. Way back in 1990, when the oleoresin paprika, which is one of the major used product in the world, primarily produced in Spain, and then Spain had a huge challenge in terms of pricing. There were not many alternates available. So India stepped in, or Synthite actually stepped in with a product which actually was technically able to replace the entire product. Again, not using the same raw material paprika, but a variety of chili from which we were able to design a process where we could make a product which was equivalent in terms of sweetness, that from a hot chili, you could be able to extract a product which could be used even in a confectionery product. So the entire process, right from being able to process them, identifying this as an opportunity, how to transform that product into a natural color ingredient which could be used in any kinds of application, became a significant milestone, not only for Synthite, but also for the entire industry, because today it still remains the single largest product in the world in terms of spice extracts, which is very widely used across food, feed, and also in health and wellness. Because as the industry is transforming today, that's part of the being agile, that today spices not only give flavor to a product or a food, but at the same time, the functionality of the ingredients. Now, there's an active ingredient called capsaicin in paprika, which is good for your eye health, which gets isolated from the spice, and then it is used specifically for that application. At the same time, it's used as a food ingredient. So that's the kind of opportunity that's being created. So being agile and looking at how we could utilize the same product for various applications also is opening up a lot of opportunities in our industry. That goes not only for spices, but for any plant extracts today that are processed in the world today. One other aspect, again, being nimble-footed, being able to look ahead, like what Shashi was mentioning about, while the business is doing well, looking at what are the possible disruptions that could happen in our space. Now, as people are looking at cleaner, maybe organic may be the wrong word to use, but people are looking at more cleaner products. How can we disrupt our own process? What we use today, use solvent extractions to make a lot of these active ingredients. How can we further disrupt that in terms of making a cleaner process, which will ensure that in the coming years, as people look at not using any solvents, because most of these solvents are of petroleum origin, and then people want to become cleaner. Everybody's talking about environmental aspects. So how do we change? So that is something, again, where Synthite has already invested very early. I mean, I'm talking about way back in 2010-11 that we got into the science of it, and today we have a number of products which processes that are probably, I would say that in the world, I mean, again, I felt very proud because Shashi mentioned that also, is because how deep we have gone into that particular space and trying to understand and create technologies, not just one, but number of technologies. And I can very confidently say that Synthite today has at least 3-4 different processes that ensure that we don't use any solvents in the process and make a product that's cleaner. It would be not long before you would have fragrances or perfumes that today use most alcohol-based, could be water-based products because of these technologies that we are developing. So these are all disruptions that we have made or inflicted on ourselves to make sure that we are keeping in tune with what's happening in the market, I mean, what could happen in the market in the future. And like, again, these 6 C's that Shashi mentioned, one of them I would like to touch upon is the courage. What is leadership about? I think while 6 C's are relevant, I think the most important thing is courage. Courage to, take decisions, courage to hold on to the decisions, change if required, and also be humble enough to say that if you went wrong, to say that you've gone wrong and be able to learn from anyone in your system. And also making sure that there's a certain amount of persistence in what we do. Again, here I would also like to take a couple of minutes. Again, I was told 6 minutes, so am I overshot by time already? 2 minutes, okay. So, like, for example, in the case of when we were looking at the further value addition opportunities, we got into a joint venture with a company to make seasonings. It was a foreign company, a different culture. It was way back in 2006. We had one of their partners as part of the business here. But somehow in 4 or 5 years, the business was not growing. There were a lot of challenges, but then we stayed on with it. And probably we had to buy the business out. But at the same time, we made sure that it progressed. And today, Simega, which is one of our sister companies, is one of the largest flavor seasoning companies in India, supplying to all the major food companies. That's why we can confidently say that all of you sitting here would have used our product in some form, because a lot of the processed food today uses Simega's flavors in a lot of their applications. So the courage to stay with it, courage to have supported that entire ecosystem. And it's a very professionally run business where I don't get involved day to day, but making sure that the management had the support, or the management of that particular business had the support in ensuring that it is logically taken to where it is today. So I think, rest of the discussions, we could probably add a few more things to say, but I don't think I want to make sure that Vinod made it very clear that we should stop on time so that the entire day's program doesn't slip on the time schedule. So probably further during the discussions, I'll hold my thoughts for further discussions then. Thank you so much.
Nice of you on that count. Respect for time. Thank you. But I'll ensure that your points do not go waste and it reaches the audience. Trust me on that. And may I now turn you over to Arjun. You would speak from here.
First of all, thank you for having me here amongst such distinguished minds. And to be able to share the dais with such senior people, it's an honor. I'm Arjun. I'm from Cherthala. My company's name is Travancore Cocotuft, and I founded this brand called Oldie Mat, deeply rooted into the world of floor coverings, carpets, and doormats. And it's rooted by a 108-year-old tradition, which, like Sir said, that is no longer relevant. Legacy and tradition are no longer relevant, but we are driven by passion and love for innovation. Agile leadership, the topic today, I think I would like to look at it not just as a buzzword, but as a changed mindset, as the previous speakers were telling, for us to probably lead and grow. And the simple truth of today is that we can no longer grow or move ahead with charts and plans prepared in boardrooms, because change is the only constant of today's world. And agility, like the previous speaker said, is not an option, but it is survival. So we deal with a lot of natural fibers, natural raw materials like coir, jute, natural rubber. Most of our raw materials are susceptible to daily price fluctuations. And because we are involved in the export business, we are dealt with changing customer preferences, buying patterns, the current volatile political atmosphere, having tariff wars. Even today, India is faced with a new tariff at 26% with plus penalties because of our Russian connections. So the only way to survive is to be nimble, because you have to take agile decisions when the opportunity comes. Otherwise, you will not survive. The main one aspect of agile leadership, I think I've learned from my father and my grandfather, and over my involvement in a family business, is humility. We as leaders, I think, should be able to say that, I don't have the answers. I don't have all the answers. We should create a space for our team to experiment, make mistakes, and learn from it, learn to adapt. It is about, removing friction in our organization for, guiding with purpose, and being able to foster a culture for collaboration. And humility is one thing that I've always learned over my small tenure in part of leadership in my family business. And one thing that I've learned is you have to be customer obsessed. Like what Aju uncle was telling, when your customers have a demand or a problem, you have to jump on it. A very recent example is in February, we were, one of our largest customers from the US called us and said, the sanctions are going to come from China, and we really want you to get into synthetics. And synthetics is something that we've never got into. We pride ourselves over being sustainable and forefronters of eco-conscious products. And they said, we'll transfer the technology. I want you to go to China and Europe and see the machines. We will fund you also. Are you game for it? And then it was a yes or no question. We jumped on it, signed the contract. It's been funded. By December, we'll have the new plant running. And then I'm expecting an email today, because India is no longer in a advantageous position because of the 26%. But then we have already signed on it. So like he said, I had the courage to take that call, and I'm going to stick with it. And if I had asked them time, then I would not have that opportunity today. So you have to be customer obsessed, not focused. Because, taking feedbacks and real-time feedbacks and acting on it with clarity, and making sure that, you always have the end customer in your heart with purpose is very important. And from the conversation that I was having with these gentlemen today morning, what would like to say to all the CEOs, change makers, and leaders of today's, we don't need to change. We just need to be ready for it. And we have to have the right mindset for it. In my organization, what I've done is that all the rigid hierarchies have been flattened out. The floor level technicians or the machine operators are all leaders, and they've been given the flexibility and the freedom to take decisions. Because you may ask why. Because they are the closest people to the problems, and they will always have the best solution. So you have to give trust in the system, and you have to understand that the loop of the system, that that they can understand the problems, take decisions on their own. You just need to be there to support, like he said, like he supported his sister company. So it is about being agile, having a ecosystem that allows change and then build on it. So I think from a small business point of view, we are also trying to be agile with equipping ourselves with technology, real-time data. All our decisions, like I was telling with Mr. Shashi sir, was everybody's got Power BI. And we have about 150 charts churning in real-time data from machines, from sales, from which customers are doing what, and why aren't you pitching this particular product that is successful in Europe to US. This particular US company, customer of yours has not ordered in the last 6 months. What is happening? So all these data we had previously, but then now these intelligent systems are guiding us with more sense out of it. And these sense is not just for the top management. My loom operator is coming back to me and saying, my productivity is going down, but I don't know what's happening. I think the maintenance is due. So this is because he's getting real-time data from his machine. So IoT or connecting the machines, making your small factory smart is all part of being agile. Because to be able to take quick decisions, you need quick data, and then you can act on it. And another relevant thing that now I think is this advantage for India, like Shashi sir told, India is the next big thing. For exports, from my point of view, we have a very short-term window of opportunity here. Because, East, manufacturing in the East for the West, I think is a thing in the past. It will be East for East, West for West, because the push for all these sanctions is essentially for manufacturing to happen in their own country and to create jobs and opportunities in their own country. So I think we should all focus towards India, because India is going to grow, and we should get on that bandwagon and use all the technology to make sure we are the forefronters riding that bandwagon. That's my small, humble take on it from my little experience.
All right, before we go further, I just want to check with the audience. Are we all audible at the back adequately? Oh yeah, thank you. So now we have had a flavor of tech on the high end, down with experience to the high-tech younger generation, to the old school that is sitting out here. My questions might look old school to you guys, but maybe one thing that is standing out in all their talk, without exception, is that change is inevitable and we need to be ready for change. And if there is anything at all, we need to change our mindset, unlearn, which was told yesterday, and relearn and re-equip as required on as nimble as you can get. That's what was told. So I will not go into the change part of it, but just to, they have already, wiped out the first question that I was thinking of asking. They have given the answers so lucidly, so I would not go into that. Now, many of the companies that were doing exceptionally well in yesteryears did not or faded away because they refused to change. Things that come into mind, Pan Am, Kodak, BlackBerry, and there are quite a few of them. So it is possibly many factors. The leaders did not change, the mindset did not change, the company did not change their technology and whatever. We will not go into that. But one question that I would want to ask you, a quick answer, would be that amidst all this, is there something that should not change? Let me start with you.
I think each organization has certain values, fundamental values, which cannot change, because again, if I were to talk about our industry, specific to the industry, we being a manufacturer of ingredients for food, it was very important that we stay true to the process, our declarations, quality. That could never change, because irrespective of what happens, that's paramount, because it's an ingredient used in food in various forms, and even if it's an animal food. So making sure that the quality commitments, what we declare as processes, what we declare as the quality of the product is never compromised.
I agree with what Aju said, 100%. I'll add a second line to it. One is values, which is the cornerstone of any venture, any venture and venture-related culture. I will also add people and the focus on people. Because end of the day, if you have way smarter people around you as a CEO, you tend to be way more successful, and that business will be way more successful. So the focus on people is something that you simply cannot ignore.
So if I just understood you rightly, if I were to say that the goal, the vision, remains and it doesn't change, but it's a process and the paths that change, which makes it more efficient to reach there and remain there. Would that be a right statement?
I think it's not just the process and the paths, it's also the capacities and capabilities, right? So, and that would mean people, back to people. And we hear about a lot of people challenges when transformation hits squarely. That is why it is the biggest dilemma for CEOs at scale, when you have to tell people that you are no longer relevant in the company. When you exhaust everything to really coach them and bring them up to the new realities, right? So, and that's why we probably need to do a lot better job of forward-looking and planning for those ahead of the curve. But if you can get better at it, it's actually good.
I'll skip Shashi for this question. Let me ask the youngsters. They say, intelligent way is to seize opportunity as it comes and evolve strategies to stay on the top. But a smarter way to do it is to create opportunities and shape environment so that you benefit from it. Your thoughts on it?
It could be, one way is to do that, the other is to co-create. Other is to co-create. Where, you know that, say, like I mentioned earlier, your customer could come up with a good idea. It is your commitment to understand that opportunity, again, not just from the customer's point of view, but also from the larger market opportunity. Now, if I were to take a minute to explain, say, most of you sitting here would know of the turmeric extract curcumin, because curcumin is very widely used as a health ingredient. There again, what we did for the last 45 years, a particular way of processing it, we completely disrupted it in 2 years back by looking at, again, making it a cleaner process. Now, it's something that we need not do it, but then looking ahead, we had to do it. That's a disruption that we did ourselves, but that's, again, very welcome, because we got some of our customers also involved in the process so that they also become champions along with us to make sure that that gets a market opportunity.
I'm going to ask you a different question since we are running out of time. I'm going to give you 3 thoughts. Here are they. One is profit brings prosperity. The second thought is profit along with prosperity. And the third thought is prosperity brings profit. Which one do you follow?
So when I joined the business, I was all in for increasing the top line. So turnover. So like any business, you are judged by your turnover. So I was going after the big accounts, the Walmarts and the big chain stores, the easiest to increase turnover. Then over a point, I realized that, your bottom line is very important, because, there are those decisions that you would love to take from a business point of view, but you're not able to because you're stretched by the top line. So profitability in any business is very important, because I'm talking from a family business, fully owned point of view. We don't have any external funding, and to have a 700 crore traditional business doing so much of volume, and it is a very low value item that we do. Our containers are probably $15,000 as compared to spices or seafood, that is about 10 times the value. So to run after a top line is important, because customer is king. Customer acquisition, market share is important, because then only you'll know how the world is reacting. That will push you for better products, better research and development, and to know what is really happening. But profitability is king. So what I understood is, I've turned into my factory and I've been concentrating on productivity in the last 5 years. So productivity is the only thing that will increase your profits. You cannot increase the price and expect to be profitable, because that will be short-lived. Somebody else will walk into your market share. So with technology, thanks to technology, we've been able to increase and churn out hidden productivity that was unheard of in the last 5 years. So prosperity will come if we can find hidden profitability inside your business. So that applies to everybody. So productivity, productivity, productivity is the answer, and every person can find hidden profits inside your business if you really look into it.
Okay, for want of time, I'll move on to my last question. Millennials and Gen Z are already in or joining the workforce. Soon enough, we'll have Gen Alpha coming in. With each of them, the thought process, the aspirations, they're all quite different. It's a widely held opinion that their thought process and beliefs and aspirations that shape their attitude are quite different from yesteryears or their predecessors, even if it is a young CEO. Two questions. First, I'll move on to Shashi. How should the company adapt to the unconventional attitude of the young to harness their competencies to the maximum? It's not that they do not have competencies. It's not they do not have. Possibly what we think as the right attitude may be different from what their thought about what is the right attitude. Your thoughts?
Two cuts at it. One, Gen Z loves working on a little bit of an additional set of values. They are very interested in community. They want ethical leadership. They want sustainability, inclusion, equality of opportunities as a commune, not for one person. Those are newer value additions to the core values of the company. So they come as new wrappers without necessarily changing your core, but the wrappers need to be there. That's one. The second one is trivial but important. They love tech, so if you don't have tech, very few of these new Gen Zs will come and work with you. So you need a tech front end, a tech intensity-based front end for them to work with you. The main topic for which you asked the question, I would say, support them, keep them safe. Don't try to manage them. Support them hardcore, keep them safe. Let them not do weird things in the company and get into trouble. So nicely put one dynamic barrier in terms of coach, governance, go-to person. Don't try to go manage them, because your frame of thinking and their frame of thinking is like not even in the same continent.
Great. Wonderful answer. Now, let me ask you another question. We leave this for the moment. How can the current generation of leaders, maybe slightly older, you all are looking too young. By the way, I'm wearing a jacket only to camouflage my tummy. These guys are fitness enthusiasts. Here's a pickleball player. He is an equestrian man. He rides a horse every day. He is a 5 a.m. club person, So, how can the current generation of leaders help the new gen's progression into the future without tying them down to our outdated values and philosophies and stuff like that?
What I find, at least with the people that I've worked with is, we are very good at, our generation, we are very good at multitasking. But the current generation likes focus, and they like to go deep in it and not really manage so much. That's very, very clear. You give them a space, I'm sure, they'll come out with results. Not too much of management is required, but then you ask them to do 10 different things, definitely not. They're not interested, and today the good thing is they're frank about it, they're open about it, telling you that they don't want to be doing it, and which is something which it's good also, because they're very clear about what their focus is and what they want to achieve. And then you can train them in the sense that you can train the focus in specific areas where you get results and they're also happy and they're also willing to move forward.
The question is to either Aju or Shashi, coming from Mr. Srikanth. How do you make the human resource in your organization agile ready? Maybe Shashi could answer that first, and then
How do you make the human resource, people, capability, capacities agile?
how do you make the human resource in your organization agile ready? Maybe ready for agile leadership. See, I think if I understood the question correctly, we also need to get the next generation of leadership on.
Okay,
you know,
got it.
like,
Yeah. So one facet of it is to really understand what the younger leaders want to do. We kind of assume as existing leaders that, hey, this is what they should be doing. You have to spend time with them to find out where are their aspirations, their focus areas, what are their passion, what are they passionate about. Somebody is passionate about the customer, somebody is passionate about the product, somebody is passionate about customer service, somebody is passionate about building the next generation of AI tools. So you need to understand that. So that's one thing. So what we do is we allow, and this is Google worldwide, will give 20% of their time in a year, right, to do something that they want to go deep. And that is put in formally as a plan, and doing well in that means that the person his compensation or his incentive plan factors that 20%. It's not like, hey, I don't think your 20% is important to me, you do it if you want to do it on your dime. No, it is important to the company, and so we'll also set up, they want to talk to a professor in Indian Institute of Science, or they want to go do something with ISB, we will facilitate all of that. So that's one way of doing it. The second one, very simply, is stretch assignments. And that is true in most of the leadership positions. So they have a running job. Of course, that will have its own pressures, but they would come back and say, hey, if I can I go do this too? And will you give me an opportunity if a role opens up in that space? So we will position it as a stretch assignment. If I am a leader, I will actually champion that cause, talk to the leader on the other side, facilitate it, make it formal, so that the person who's going in knows that he's got the support of two leaders to really go ahead and execute on it. So stretch assignments is a very key way of building leadership.
All my years over the last 15 years have all today entrepreneurs within Synthite. They didn't have to go outside, because in 2 or 3 years that they worked with me, I've identified their talent, or they themselves explored an opportunity within the organization to champion, and they become leadership or champions within the organization. So this is my 5th EA, but 4 of them are championing businesses within Synthite because of the opportunity they got to work with me, and then through that process identifying an opportunity within Synthite to grow. And these are all new businesses within the group, very focused on food ingredients, but focus, attention being given to specific areas. So that's how I've been able to train leadership within the organization.
But what Aju said and what I mentioned is an act of intention. It's not an act of unconscious competence. It is intentionally designed to find people with passion, ambition, capability, integrity, and then extract that out, and then to give them a set of opportunities, sense where they are going with it, and keep them really close so that they have the support to go do it. It's an act of intention.
I'll flag one more question, although I just have to kind of wind up. That's what the clock says. Can I take a minute extra with the permission of the chair? Okay, partly this has been answered. What strategies can organizations employ to mitigate the disruption caused by AI-driven automation, and how they can ensure smooth transition for workers whose roles may be impacted? This has almost been answered, unless you have anything to add to this other than what we said. Yeah, here. Let me turn to it. how do you mitigate the AI disruptions that come?
No, no, you need to harness the power of change. And you need to build an ecosystem that allows everybody to contribute to it. And for that, you need to enable everybody with tech, data, real-time decisions, and then a flat hierarchy of management. You cannot expect a solution to go up to the top management and come back. Because it has to be localized, decisions has to be localized, and then tech has to be adopted. So it is not a disruption, it is a positive change, and all small businesses can use it. So nobody's going out of business. You just need to be ready for it. So that is the way I look at it. So if there are businesses that are going out of business, that is because they're not ready to change. And change is only happening. It is only started, we are not late. So just be ready for it. And if you are not aware of, if you are not tech fluent like Shashi sir said, get experts on it. And like I said, in our organization, it's very simple. Everybody rises to their own level of inefficiency. So the moment you see people becoming inefficient, that is when you know that they need expert help. So you bring in experts on board and get them to retrain the workforce and get on it. You have to have the courage to get on it because it's completely new for everybody.
Couple of minutes for rest of the questions. I almost have a kind of deal like cards, so many questions, but I'm afraid we do not have the luxury of time. There are other sessions that are waiting. One takeaway that I've got a couple of them that I've written down, but nevertheless, one thing that I understand from these eminent personalities who are actually at the front end of applying what the colleges produce and give them is that they are no more looking at, even that came out from yesterday's discussion, they're not looking at qualification or degrees alone. They are looking at, characters and suitability and other leadership traits which are required to be flexible, be adaptive, and be agile. And that's a conclusion that I draw from it. I hope the panel agrees with that thought. All right. With that, I would wish all the panel the very best in all your endeavors, and may you all scale greater heights of glory. Best wishes from TMA, and on behalf of the President, all members, I wish you good luck in your future. And thank you for taking out your time to join us here. Thank you.
Thank you, Marshal Vipin, for the grace and the clarity and the quiet command that you bring to chairing this session. And thank you, gentlemen. I'm sure your insightful reflections are going to inspire action. And now, a token of appreciation from our end, may I request Mr. George Koshi to come up on stage to present the memento to Air Marshal Vipin. I request Mr. C.K. Jayachandran to come forward, please, to present the memento to Mr. Aju Jacob. Request Mr. Aju Mahadevan to come forward and present the same to Mr. Sashikumar Sreedharan. Sorry. Mr. Sunil Ayyappan, if I may have you on stage to do the honors and present the same to Mr. Arjun Mahadevan.